Okay, well, I tried. I tried to keep my mouth shut. I tried to keep my eyes off of my Facebook news feed. But today I saw something quite by accident that just enraged me so much that I had to share. And the real reason is because people who are opposed, who are on one side of this issue, feel that they are empowered right now with the chance to say anything that they want. And if you speak against them, then you're a horrible, evil person who doesn't care about life. So I'm tired of the other side of this argument being scared to speak, and so I'm not going to be scared anymore. What tipped me off today was Elizabeth Hasselbeck from The View today said, and I quote, "I'm actually more upset with the shooter's wife." And in the context, she said she was more upset with the shooter's wife than with the shooter himself. And it's probably the most ignorant comment that I've heard since this all started. And her line of thinking was that because she didn't report something that she should have known or did know that he was planning to carry out a mass shooting, a terrorist attack, and so she should have reported something, should have said something, and so it's her fault. This is very typical of the liberal left and a lot of people, not just the left, trying to place blame for an act on anybody but the person who committed the act or anything. It's the shooter's wife's fault, of course. It's the NRA's fault, of course. It's the Republicans' fault, of course. It's the guns' fault, of course. And it's just ridiculous because what this leads to now is this debate that's going on about gun laws and how we should have stricter gun laws and how there should be no need for anyone to ever have an assault rifle. There's no need for it because, I've never known a hunter that needed an assault rifle to take down a deer. Well, hunting is not the only thing that guns are used for. Personal protection is another. And I'll get into that in a few minutes. But the bottom line is, laws to restrict people from obtaining guns or having a certain type of gun don't do anything to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. Look at the drug war that has been going on for decades. It is illegal to transport drugs into the United States. It is illegal to transport them within the United States, to have them in your possession, to use them. All of those things are completely illegal. To even have the traces of them in your blood system. All of it is illegal. 100%. There is no gray line. There is no, well, if you have a criminal record, if this, if that. No. It's all illegal. That's why they're called illegal drugs. And yet, it is really not that hard in any city in America to get your hands on illegal drugs if you want to. And that's why, according to the DEA, over 16% of the American population uses illegal drugs at some point or another. 16%. But it's completely illegal and has been completely illegal for decades. And yet 16% of Americans get their hands on it. And let me just say now for all the people that are going to cry that, oh, he's comparing drug use to mass shootings. No, I'm not. Mass shootings are far worse than drug use. I understand that. They kill innocent people, whereas most of the people who die from drug use are people who chose to take those drugs. Maybe not knowing the side effects, maybe whatever, but still, they're only harming themselves most of the time. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the laws meant to keep illegal things out of the hands of people who want them do not work. Because if you are willing to break the law, you don't care that it says it's illegal. And if there's money to be made in it, which if you make assault rifles illegal, there will be money to be made in the assault rifle sale black market, then people will sell them, and people who don't care about the laws will buy them. Same thing with drinking and driving. It's been illegal for a very, very long time. Yet, people consume too much alcohol and get behind the wheel of a car every single day all over our country. And people die. Innocent people are killed by drunk drivers every single day in our country. And yet, when a drunk driver collides into a minivan and kills a family of people, nobody blames the car. Not even very many people blame the alcohol. They blame the person who made a poor, selfish, stupid choice to get behind the wheel of a car after drinking alcohol. There are no big marches on Washington, D.C. to ban the sale and consumption of alcohol in our country again because of a drunk driver killing an innocent family. There are no legislature being put through that says that every single car in America needs to have a breathalyzer to make sure that no person is ever able to drink and drive again. It doesn't happen. Because we know that sometimes people are going to make irresponsible choices that are going to affect other people. And we cannot place blanket laws over the entire country because of irresponsible, hateful, stupid people who are going to abuse the laws no matter what they are. Somehow we have that common sense in other areas, but not in guns. Let me get back to the comment about the Second Amendment, because the other ignorant thing that I heard just after this made me pay attention to The View for a second, which I can't stand anyway, was Raven-Symoné, or whatever her name was, saying that, the Republicans take an originalist view on this, or they don't take an originalist view on this, I'm sorry. She said that the original meaning of it was because there was militia. Because what it says is that a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So she says because there's no more militia, you don't have the right. Only the militias have the right to keep and bear arms. There's no more militia, you don't have the right individually. That's stupid. That's not accurate at all. What it says is that, hey, a prelude to this statement, a militia is a great way to ensure the security of a free state. You know why? Because governments, as you've seen over the past few decades, especially federal governments, can tend to get abusive of their power. They can tend to become corrupt, and they can tend to enforce this power illegally on their citizens. And so they said, we don't want this government to let that happen again decades from now, centuries from now, and so we know that a militia is the best way to fight that off. Well, lately we haven't had a need for a militia in our country. There hasn't been a need. But the right for people to bear arms is so that when there is a need, if there were a need in the future, we would have the capability of forming a militia to defend ourselves, the people, against an oppressive federal government. That is the point. That's why it says the prelude to it, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, comma, and then a statement. Here is the actual freedom you're given. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It doesn't say the right of the militia. It doesn't say as long as they're enrolled in a militia. It doesn't say as long as there is an active and regulated militia at the time. It says, hey, a militia is good to keep the security of a free state. Therefore, that's what the comma there means for you grammar majors. Therefore, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, a lot of people want to say, well, I don't want to take away all the guns. We shouldn't take away all the guns, but we should make it harder for them to get. This person was on a federal watch list, or it was a suspect of something, and so he should not have been able to get a gun. Well, there's another thing in our country called due process. When you are accused of a crime or suspected of a crime, that you are not guilty of a crime until you are proven that by a court of law, that you are innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure you guys have watched Law & Order. It's really not that hard to understand. You're innocent until proven guilty, which means as much as we want to suspect that this person did this, or would do this, or will do that, being a suspect in a criminal investigation, being a suspect of something, should not be enough for the government to blanket restrict you from your freedoms as an American. And I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm defending the shooter's right to buy a gun, but if we make that blanket statement, then anybody that's put on a list, a suspect list, a watch list, any kind of list, all of a sudden now your rights are able to be infringed, and you haven't had any due process, you haven't been convicted of anything, and you haven't had a chance to appeal your side to a jury of your peers, then we might as well abolish the justice system, which I'm sure a lot of people on the left that are reading this would be fine with that because it's so terribly corrupt. But here's the bottom line. New laws do nothing to restrict criminals from getting their hands on the weapons or the things that they want to commit the crimes that they want to commit. All you do when you make laws stricter and stricter and stricter is take power away from the people, give more power to a corrupt and abusive federal government that we have, and if you have any question in that, you're not paying attention, and restrict the freedoms of law-abiding citizens. Our country has been through a terrible tragedy. It was a terrorist attack, regardless of the motives. When someone says, I give my allegiance to ISIS, then they're doing it for terrorist reasons. Was it also a hate crime? Absolutely it was also a hate crime. All terrorist actions are a hate crime. Don't you get that? They are killing people because they are Christians, because they are gay, because they are anything that is not what they are, because of their strict adherence to their version of the Sharia law. Every act they do is a hate crime. So let's stop getting this whole argument between, was it a terrorist attack or was it a hate crime? Guess what? Every terrorist attack is a hate crime. And to say, oh, we're the only place that this happens. Really? We're the only place that this happens. That's pretty stupid. You haven't been paying attention to the hundreds and the thousands of people being beheaded all across the Middle East right now because they're Christians or because they are Sunni or because they're a different thing than ISIS, because they're Jewish. And it is not Muslims. It is not Muslims. It is not Islam that is doing this. And the fact that you say that it is a radical Islamic group that is doing it does not mean that you are condemning all Muslims and saying that all Muslims are terrorists. I'm pretty sure nobody is actually saying that. If they are, they're not someone that's being listened to. I doubt anybody made it this far anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I just had to get it off my chest. Sorry if I offended you, but if you're the type of person I've offended and you've posted anything about it, you've probably offended me too. And it's okay to get offended. And it's okay to be offensive sometimes. That's the way it is.